Happy New Year, right? Welcome to the Keystone Heights Heritage Commission January meeting, the first one for the year. Let's do a quick roll call. We have Deidre and Christine and Miss Carrie, and I believe Helen told me she was going to be here, I believe. So we have a quorum. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to start first by welcoming visitors. Janice, welcome to our meeting. Glad to have you, and certainly come anytime you feel like you can make it. Certainly. Oh, wonderful. That's just so wonderful. We love seeing folks come. And of course, Mr. Hart, thank you for being here today. And then we have a special guest today, and Terry also, welcome for being here, and Kathy. This is Joe Wiggins, and he is with Wiggins Construction Company. I want to start off with you, Joe, this morning as a special guest, mainly because you had come to me with a request, and I wanted you to share kind of what you said to me on the call just a week ago. And then what I have done is, and we'll have the team vote in or weigh in, because they're certainly more experts than I am too about architectural and history with Keystone. I've only been here for 5 years, so I depend heavily on them to give input for the community as well. If you can kind of share with me your conversation, and we'll go through what I put together for you that I can give you to have as a reference.
Joe Wiggins. I've been in Clay County 37 years. I'm the magistrate and code enforcement for Keystone since 2016. It's my son and I have a construction company. I'm also an attorney, but we love our passion is construction and development. So we've got under contract for probably the last two major pieces of property in Keystone. So one is a 14-acre tract that has gone through the development process. It's just about at the end, but the developer wants to back out, so we want to step in and take over. We think that's going to be the catalyst for our 50-acre project down the road. We are part of the community. We want community input. That's why I call it DINA, see what we can do for what do you guys want to see in a development. Now, there are budget constraints, so we can't do everything, but we're willing to listen and talk. We want to start a conversation. So the first project, 52 single-family homes. We may go to the city to change some of those to a few townhomes, but the majority will be single-family. And then the next project, we just got the survey finished on that. So of course you have to go to topo and tree survey, and I haven't even reviewed it. Got it in an email yesterday. So that's down the road, but that'll be more commercial and mostly multifamily, some single family. So here I am. Feel free to ask any questions and get the conversation going.
Okay. So what I did was, and I just want to make sure you can see this, or everybody can see what I put together. And I realize we didn't vote on the minutes yet. We'll come back to that. Get ahead of myself. I just know he might have a quite tight timeline. Christina, can you go to the next slide? This is some information, and I'll just kind of read it a little bit because it's probably hard to read. A year ago, when I started with the group here, I decided it was important to do an inventory of the homes, and as best I can tell based on some references that I have that have been provided to me, the architectural styles, also the years of the homes, the owners, how to contact those owners. We arrived at 111 homes that are 50 years and older in Keystone Heights, okay? And out of those homes, 61 of them were built from, one of the things says 1913, but it's got to be 21, to 1947. 61 of those homes are 75 years and older. The remaining homes, 50 of them, are 1948 to 1972. So what's really cool to me is the variety of architecture in such a small template when you think about the city and the size and the population. I think it just brings a lot of really unique ideas overall to the town, and things that we can do to make it more interesting. But as you can see, the numbers kind of come out for phase one. I call them the ones that are 75 and older, to American Foursquare, a simple bungalow, to colonial revival, craftsman bungalow, Mediterranean revival, frame vernacular, and mission. Phase two homes are primarily minimal traditional, is the bigger number, followed by ranch, mid-century modern, mid-century ranch, frame vernacular, mason vernacular, and simple bungalow. This is what I could best reference based on a survey that was done here a couple of years ago, and then some historical information provided to me before I took the role. So that's kind of how we have them characterized currently, and we're trying to do further clarification of those details as we continue on with our efforts as a team here. Can you give me the next slide, Christina? This is just to show you the dominance. The bungalows definitely dominate, slowly followed by the traditional, those are definitely the different eras between 75 and 50 years of age. So that kind of, I know you were asking for the different styles of architecture, kind of the flavor, right? And you can see it's really kind of nice little palette there, I think. If you can give me the next slide, Christina. And again, I've kind of focused just on really 6 types, and I've Googled some things and put this together just as a reference point. I'm not saying it's perfect, and I certainly depend on the team here to give me input based on what they would see differently, and we can try to support you with what that vision is. So basically, it's the 2 bungalow types: frame vernacular, ranch, minimal tradition, and mission. So I'm trying to give you some definitions and a photograph. We'll go to the next slide, Christina. Here you can see, and I won't go into all this detail because in view of our time today, but it basically gives a simple description of what a bungalow entails, okay? And that can be all over the place depending on person's personal interest, and then just trying to follow a certain particular guideline. A lot of this information was collected from Wikipedia, MySpruce, and I have the references at the end where I got the information. Next slide, Christina. Craftsman bungalows, you can tell it's a little more detailed in the different types of materials used, a little bit more advanced. You're going to see a little bit more of a rugged look, I think. My house is a craftsman bungalow, and so is Deidre's. They're just the little details and, I don't know, a combination of the stone and the woods just for enhanced, appearance. Next slide, Christina. Frame vernacular, that was just one of the examples I thought I could find, and we do, I think Christine, isn't yours frame vernacular?
It's more Queen Anne. Do you notice the symmetry in this?
Yeah.
Mine is asymmetrical.
Okay.
Has all the Queen Anne hallmarks. It's
Right,
really
I knew
late-
yours had
late
that Queen Anne,
Anne.
yeah. So, but when I Googled the photographs, this is the one that kept coming up with it underneath it. Oh, they do? Okay. So next slide, Christina. And here's a simple ranch. And we have, like I said, we have 9 ranches here. But we have some, to me, that do look kind of ranch. They're probably considered the traditional, right? So, I think they're also kind of fun because there's unique things you can do to make them kind of, like I know you're trying to look at different facades and things like that to make it more interesting. Next slide, Christina. Minimal traditional. This is the picture that kind of kept coming back with this particular house. And I did try to look at the years because I weighed in the ones that are 50 years and older versus 75 because you're going to just see different looks on what those might look like. And I can give you a copy of this PowerPoint. So do you guys have any, next slide, Christina, I think that was the last one, maybe, mission, I'm sorry. And we do have several that have the Spanish flavor here, which I just love. I mean, it's like a flavor of California to southern Florida, and they're just gorgeous, the architecture. Yes?
I'd just like to let you know that you have several real estate agents on this commission, Helen and myself, and I actually sold that property to Mr. Duckrow, so I am really versed in the whole situation there and what the layout was and how he originally proposed to develop the property. So from my standpoint, and I'm not going to speak for Helen, of course, but I would love to see this developed because we need smaller homes with very minimal sized lots. We have beautiful lakefront homes We have homes that all have, you know, an acre, 2 acres. We don't really have an option for a lot of people who want to downsize. They're going to Gainesville, they're going other places because I don't have a product for them. And so what I would personally like to see, because I am really very sensitive about the historic aspect of Keystone Heights and want to see that continued, as well as growth, but managed growth. And with that, the styles, although we can't go back and create this in an economical way. There's no way to do this. There's no way to take a historic bungalow and create Nina's house over there, you know, 50 of them.
Right.
That would be affordable.
It's not affordable.
But if we could take the bungalow style, a cottage version style, the craftsman style, they're very popular right now with mainstream, you know, buyers. And if we could take even your basic ranch and just give it some of the architectural details without the expense of making it look like bungalow or craftsman,
Yeah,
or
just little touches
just
here and there.
infuse that into your product, that I think would be
Enough.
fantastic for
Yeah.
Keystone Heights.
I'm glad you said what you said, because we have 6 projects down here now. From we work with the Housing Finance Authority, and so their mission is to provide housing, right, for people to purchase it versus just renting. And so we have in High Ridge Estates, we have 2 houses. One's under contract, one's going under contract
I
today,
saw those.
right? So they're 2.25, and that's kind of where we start. It's at 220, and then go up. And then we have $1 million house that we're doing down here on a lakefront, right? So we have the range, and we enjoy doing the range, right? And we want to have some affordability, but High Ridge, there's enough lots in High Ridge Estates, and some people say, well, you know, maybe that's not the most desirable neighborhood, but someone's got to get started in there, right? So if we get started in there with a few homes, then possibly people can see that there are other ways to keep your yard and have an influence on other people. So, right, so we have plenty of lots for the larger homes. It's the smaller homes that I think are within a walkability of downtown that I'm trying to promote. Excuse me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, something that has a small footprint, not a big yard. A lot of older people don't, you know, they've had those 2-acre lakefront homes. They now want to downsize and not have to have a mowing and all of this. They would just do container gardening.
Right.
So, you know, something that had some of these features, though, in the style and architecture of the home, if there was a way to incorporate them, you know, at an expense that would keep your
Sure.
construction cost, you know, in line with what we need.
Yeah. We design in-house. My son does the AutoCAD, so, you know, hopefully you can send this to me.
Yeah, I'll
right?
send it
we
to
can
you.
we can provide you know, some samples of what we think
Yeah.
would work and economical. Our price range for the neighborhood, I'm thinking 220 to 400, right?
Great.
So half of them will probably be that 250 or below, but we are going to push the envelope and try to get some, you know, some higher priced homes in there.
Right.
Something else that we do that you can't see but we're pretty proud of is the way we insulate. We foam the roof deck, we blow in a product in the walls, and we use low-E glass, and that doesn't mean anything. Most people can't see it, but it provides a more efficient, energy efficient home, right? So people can save about 1/3 of their electric bill. So what I've seen in other parts of the county is what is affordable, and mobile homes are affordable, right? They're quick, they're affordable, but once you get in them, they're not the most energy efficient. So people are spending $400, $500, $600 a month on energy, you know, situations. So we're trying to combat that as well in our products.
They're also insurable.
Yeah, and they provide a
Because
tax
That's become a
base.
big issue for the state right now.
Right.
Insurability, and older homes are finding it harder and harder to get insurance. especially those that don't have, you know, updated roofs, updated AC, and those kinds of things. So insurability is another factor.
Yeah. And we truly are an open book. Anybody can have my cell phone number, my email address, and feel free to shoot me a note or call me and say, hey, you know, blah, 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 and we'll have a conversation.
I just had a question. I think I'm probably out of the loop on this. So you took over the development out.
Sunrise,
Sunrise.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
I'm under contract for it, right? And so I wanted to get the ball rolling ahead of time. Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, and so what is the timeline on that? Just curious.
So Jed is still working with the city and to get the development approved, and I'm trying to get him to do that before I purchase it. But right now, I'm under contract to close by the end of February, and if the development is approved, then we want to start as soon as possible.
That's
Do
great.
you think that it would be feasible to take a basic small ranch and then incorporate some of these architectural elements,
Oh, definitely.
such as, you know, just the brackets sometimes?
Mhm.
Just, you know, some of the features can be done. I've seen them on, you know, in Gainesville in some subdivisions that are newer, where they're really trying to play onto the population that wants that style,
Yeah.
you know, so,
Just a little simple,
Yeah,
even paint,
simple
even paint
things.
colors and
yeah.
arch, like even an arch window could kind of give you that feel there. but
Arch
it's-
windows are expensive.
Well,
Couple
yeah,
of
but materials and
Right.
stuff,
Knows
maybe
that.
it's wood trim,
You could
you
do
know.
Right, wood
an arch
trim.
window
Paint
here,
colors.
you know, something else
Right.
on this one.
Like
right?
overkill kind of
Yeah.
thing, but
Right.
simple stuff, yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
that gives you a basic footprint, basically, and then we have these styles, so they don't all look like track housing,
Right.
right? Yeah. Did you, one of y'all have?
I was just gonna
Janice?
ask where you said Sunrise, is that out here behind or North Hitchcock's?
Yes.
Yeah.
That little area that
Mhm.
has been, and where was the other one that you're talking about?
The northeast corner of 21 and 100, is it the American Legion? We have an access right next to that on 21. And then,
Kind of back behind down in there.
yeah, behind Johnny's is the northern
Okay.
edge of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where-
but it also comes out on commercial.
Okay.
And is that a bigger project then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I live over that way, so I'm new to town and knowing where things are is a mystery to me. But that'll be close by.
Yes, sir.
Joe, we do have a growth management committee as part of the city. We're going to be probably talking to one of the developer sometime in February. I know the zoning has already been approved. We went through about we're going to go with that, that's done. But if you want to come to growth management, share your ideas with that group as well.
Sure.
You will.
Thank you. I'll attend any meeting, but again, I'm not trying to necessarily push my idea. I want to share it, but I also want input from everybody else too.
It's a casual group.
Okay.
We don't have any binding say-so in anything, just different group of people that are involved in together.
Yeah, I think you've actually been to growth management before.
Right, on our larger piece, right?
So
Yes.
what is the timeline on your larger piece?
So we just got the survey back literally yesterday. So now I've got to submit that to the civil engineer and he's going to help us design at that point, which could take 4 to 6 months, right? Just to get the design. So that's, we wouldn't break ground, you know, then we got to go through, you know, the government. So it's a year and a half at least.
Do you have a development plan already?
No, that's what
That's
we're,
what you're going
right,
for.
that's what we're, right, we
But
needed to
you've
do the
got-
survey to figure out where things can sit. And then I've had input with city council, various groups, you know, everything from a Publix to a steakhouse, you know, on the commercial side, to nothing over 2 stories, but I want to push something that's 4 stories, right? And so I've got to get this a little bit of a vision to come back and say, look, on 50 acres, you can have a 4-story multifamily product, and you would never see it from anywhere unless you're trespassing on the property, you know? So to have an idea that may sound too urban, but if it's put in the right setting, I think it works. And that's what, again, I'm trying to provide some density close to downtown if the argument is, I only like single-family houses, as I said before, we can do that anywhere. But we only have one opportunity for this piece downtown, that people can walk downtown. We can support the businesses. That's what I think is a good idea.
Well, I mean, I respect that. You know, do you live here?
We've had a house here, it's a lake house, right? So I don't live here full-time.
Okay.
Yep.
So, I mean, I understand it's a one-time opportunity, but for the residents that live here full-time and the citizens of the city and whatnot, they're gonna look at it every day, all day. And, I mean, I think managed growth, like Deirdre said, is the way to go. So, I mean, I don't think it's undoable, but I think it needs to be done in a way that everyone is happy with.
That's why I'm here.
Well, I mean, yes, I mean, for sure. So, I mean, being here is great, you know, but I think that a 4-story building on
You're
that
talking
piece-
about apartment complexes, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah,
It sounds to me like that's what,
there would be condominiums.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, and we may keep some and use them in a rental portfolio, but they would be, the ability to sell them would be there, right? As opposed to an apartment building, which will always be an apartment building. Yeah, so it's a slightly different animal.
But that project
Mhm.
you see with the condo situation, that would be on 21, backing up
Yes.
into Lake High Ridge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, from a real estate perspective, that's a real need. To have a condos in this area, there's nothing like that. There's the one, Geneva, right there across from like where Harvey's, now it's,
Yeah.
Winn-Dixie. Right, Geneva
Estates.
Estates.
I'm not averse to condos. I'm
Right.
averse to a 4-story building.
But if you can't see it, what does it matter?
Well, you're gonna see it when you come over the hill at Johnny's, when you're coming into town.
I don't think so.
Well,
That's
when
why
you-
we've got
when
a
all the
survey.
trees- When all the trees come down, because I heard you say at another meeting, you're gonna max it out, which I respect, you're a businessman. But when you take down every tree you need to take down to max it out, you're gonna see it. And it's also not, it's not like anything else in this city.
Right. Sometimes change happens, right?
I'm not averse to change.
But your
Change is
definition of
constant.
maxing out and mine may be different, right? If I can max out and go up, then I keep more green space, right? If we max out single family, then we're wiping everything out. But if we can go up, we keep green space. Does that make sense?
Well, and maybe if you come down on the number of units, you can get a happy medium.
I'm not in the business for, you know.
Well, no, I
but-
respect that, and I mean,
So-
you're here to get our input.
Yeah.
And I'm just giving input.
Okay.
My question is, what does that do to the charm of the community of Keystone Heights? To have a 4-story, even though, like you're saying, it's not gonna be seen, but I
Mhm.
agree, I think it will be seen. And I don't know if that's gonna be good for the charm of the town.
That's the
That's
last
for the
biggest
community.
parcel to be developed within the city limits.
Mhm.
And I agree to that fact that, you know, it's just like a perfect example is, and the RV resort out there, it's not Clay County and it's not whatever, that's too much. But for somebody, and I hopefully you don't have this in your mind from what you just said, but just to go in and level it, take off all the beautiful trees, all the stuff that's already there that aesthetically we appreciate to build what you want, where if you can go around what's there and work around what's there to preserve, you know, our beauty.
Old
Sure.
Florida.
I
I think it'll be much more appreciated, whether it's a 4-story building or, you know, whatever, to work around what's there.
exactly.
And I'll reiterate a story that I told once at Growth Management, that I was at Brooklyn Boys picking up takeout. And this man came in to pick up his takeout, and, you know, we just were chatting, and they were just moving here. And they had, coming from, you know, another state or whatnot, he goes, yeah, we have a relative here and whatnot, and we looked at Fleming Island, but you know what, we came over here, and we just want something more rural. I mean, and someone once told me, it's okay to want to preserve the quaintness and the old Florida and the heritage and the history of your town. And that's okay to be a destination, because that man, he's coming here for a reason, because of the way the town is. Someone just bought the house across from the library because they actually, one of the neighbors told me, they actually were staying at the RV resort and they loved it. So people come here for a reason, and we want to keep that
We built a
reason.
house here, 17 years ago for the same reason too. So I think I'm part of the community as well. And that's,
Of course you are.
yep. So
Of course you are. Then our interest, I see, is being aligned. Maybe we have different views of what it should look like. And like I said, I respect you're a businessman and you need to make money, but I hope you respect too that, you know, this town has its heritage and its qualities for a reason, that people want to come here.
I'm gonna have to let this be done, because we still have a big meeting to do. First of all, Joe, thank you very, very much for coming to me and allowing us the chance to have input. I think it's important. I think this is the beginning of that relationship.
Mhm.
And I'm sure you're taking all this back in, and certainly from our group here, to, you know, come up with what those ideas might look like based on all of our needs. And we can't make everybody happy, but, you know, I see both sides to the situation. And I'm sure there's plenty more people too that feel the same. But I think it's great that you've asked our input, because legally you probably don't really have to ask too much input from us. I mean, you can kind of, you're a businessman, you can do what you need to do, and I understand that. I did see the initial plans for the 52-acre property, and I thought everybody did a great job, but I didn't hear anything about someone bringing that influence in of what Keystone Heights is, except for a few little things. There was this huge landscape project, which I know trees can be replaced, and all the things that they do to accomplish that to make it feel the same. But I didn't see anything where somebody was asking for architectural considerations at all. And I really, really, really appreciate that. So thank you for being here today, and if you want to stay for a meeting, you're certainly welcome. I'll email this to you.
That'd be great. Yep.
And again, you certainly just, you know, can go to any architectural sites or whatever and get some more definitions. But just like Deidre said about the deal with the ranch and the little simple appointments to kind of characterize the differences, I think is not a bad idea either, you know. Brings in that, you're trying to hit two birds with one stone, so.
Yeah, and I'll just end with this. So it's not just the development, it's the impact that it has on the businesses downtown, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like, to me, we could use some help with that. And I think the business leaders, you know, who invested down here, you know, they
100%.
Oh, yeah,
want something as
absolutely.
well, yeah. So,
Yep.
and
Well, thank you.
my cell phone is 904-334-5517.
Do you have business cards?
I do, but not with me.
Okay.
Can you repeat
I've got,
Sure,
I have his email
904.
also.
334-5517. And my email is joe@wigginslaw.net. WIGGINSLAW.net.
And that's your construction?
Yeah, it's my catch-all. I'm not bright enough to multitask different emails.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Yes,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you so much too. Appreciate you being here. Okay, before we move on, we need to approve these minutes from November. And, you know, I read through them. Did you guys get a chance to take a look at them?
Yes.
Okay, so,
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes from.
I'll second.
Okay.
all right.
November
Great.
meeting. All in favor? Aye.
Aye?
Okay.
Okay. Well, first of all, for old business, I just want to start out and say, talk about the wreaths, the Christmas wreath project. And together we hung and created 40 wreaths for our businesses downtown, conducted a workshop in November to make the wreaths, which was very fun and exciting, I think. I think a lot of folks made a lot of new friends and things like that. So Janice, I haven't met your friend. What is your name?
I'm Janet Cooley.
You're Janet and that's Janice.
Yes.
Oh, great. That's easy. That's so easy.
But I really wanted to say I also go by Jan.
Okay, Jan and Janice. I got to keep that straight. So we have associate membership. So folks who want to volunteer, I'll take your name on a list and I'll email you when we have meetings and invite you to things that we're doing if you want to participate. certainly let me know, and I can get the information from you, so on future meetings, I can let you know what's going on. But we appreciate you coming all the way from Middleburg this morning, is what I understand.
Well, I grew up here at Keystone, so I have
Excellent.
a vested interest in
Excellent.
what
That's-
happens to this community. I mean, my mom, our family's been here since 1950.
Oh, that's great.
So
Yeah,
I feel like I want to keep that charm that's here, you know, and to hear it like he was saying. And I get everything that he said, I understand it, but it's like, what does that do to our community? And I think to the point, people come here for a reason. And I think it's because it is a small town. Everything is, you know, non-commercialized, which.
yeah. And I think that's the goals of the city in general, is non-commercialized. I mean, I know that's a definite goal. So, you know, we just have to watch where that growth goes. But I want to say, so the wreaths were a huge success. The businesses absolutely loved them. So we had a great team of folks that helped us to deliver them. Certainly thank you to Debbie, Terry, LaDonna, and Kathy for helping me get those things delivered right before Thanksgiving. And then the wreaths were bagged and removed, and Carrie and Deidre, thank you all for helping me get that done. And Dave and I took them over to the city's location there behind Hitchcock's, which is a huge warehouse kind of thing. And I actually have 2 more in my back of my car to take back over there today. But again, everyone was very happy, and you know, to get them. And I greatly appreciate all the help that Christina, Lynn, Kenny, all those guys from the city did to help us to make that a reality. I mean, it was pretty, there's a lot of behind the scenes things that happened that before we could actually get to the final product. Yes, ma'am.
Before I know anything about it, whenever I drove, the first time that I drove through, and I was like, where's all this come from? But they're all alike. Those are so pretty, and it really did tie it all
Yeah.
together. I mean, there's so much like Pet Realty there. That's so pretty. There's so many. You can make it a town out there. I'm sure y'all been to Alachua and some other little towns around. We can turn our town into any of those little places.
Oh,
So
sure.
All of that.
We have all the makings of
feel
it.
that way. We do. We
Yeah.
just have to get, that's why we're here.
Yeah, it was certainly a,
It really was very pretty.
yeah, it